Going to take a look at cutting out and making the Luna shoulder tie dress, which is one of the simplest little dresses in the Luna dress. There's no buttons or no anything on it. So you have two pattern pieces that you photocopy and you have to join A to B. So just carefully do that. And you have a facing. So there's two pieces for that. When you check the book, or if you don't, it doesn't matter, you have to use a fat quarter. Now I've measured up a fat quarter and it's by a yard as opposed to a meter. So the better fat quarter is the one that's a meter because the extra length is needed in it. So a fat quarter from a yard is only 18 inches long, whereas one from a meter is nearly 19. So that little inch makes a difference, but we can manage with what we have. Now preparing the fabric. One side of your, you'll know on fabric there's a warp and a weft. So the warp is the threads that run down the length and they're the strongest. And when you give that, you get a lovely sharp sound of that and there's hardly any move in it. So that's the warp of the fabric and that should run from head to toe. The other way, it's a bit softer and there's a bit of give in that. And that's the weft. And that's like that because the threads, when they're woven across, they're up and down and under the threads of the warp. Now to prepare that, iron your fabric and bring the two warp lengths together. So you're going to have a fold on this side and a fold on this side. Okay, so that's slightly different. And the reason being is the little dress is cut in two pieces. There's only a side seam. So there's a center front and a center back. This little symbol here tells you that that piece needs to go on a fold. So let's lay that out here on this particular piece here. Now, I'm going to just maneuver this very slightly to get it to fit. If you were using a directional print, in other words, flowers growing up or trees or anything like that, or bunnies or whatever, all in the one direction, you'd have to make sure they're not upside down on both pieces. So that uses extra fabric. But with what's called a non-directional print, in other words, it doesn't matter what way it goes, you can lay it out any which way. So I have my fold here, and I'm laying my piece directly on that fold, and I'm being very spare with the fabric because it's just about enough to fit the dress, and pin that in place. Now, this little piece here is what's called a facing, and that's going on the inside, and that will finish off. There'll be no raw edges around the shoulder strap, so that finishes that off. However, unfortunately, because it's only a fat quarter from a yard, imperial measurement, it's that little bit too short. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of wiggling when I cut this out, and if I don't have enough, I'm going to cut it in a different color, which won't make any difference either. And I'm going to when I cut this one out, I'm going to do the same on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. You're cutting it with a scissors. You can cut it with your rotary cutter. Just be careful. Rotary cutters don't always go around curves very well. So just cut that out following the outline. When you're using a scissors, use the full length of the scissors. Nice broad. Don't kind of chop at it. Get a nice swing of the scissors. So there's, and then we just cut this out here at the top. And sometimes even with the big scissors, they get, okay. Now I need to do the same again on this side here. So get my fold again, and I'm just going to maneuver the fabric. It's going to be mean with the fabric. I just want enough that it fits the garment on. And again, right down, just check on the bottom here that you're all the way down to the hem end. Move the pins. You can take the pattern piece off, or I'm just going to pin it all on top of each other again, which will work absolutely fine. sometimes you might like to cut a second pattern piece and just lay the two out rather than maneuvering around that. So cut your second piece out in exactly the same way. So that you have a back and a front of this lovely little, cute little tie shoulder dress. Sorry, get back into the picture again here. Now, I'm going to keep all my, now I'm going to do a little bit of tweaking and twiddling here and see can I fit in. So still holding the fabric in the same direction, and I'll just, no, it's not going to fit on what I have left. So I'm going to have to go for a different color. I might just use a white, or what I could do is just take a little bit off the length, not off the top here, not off this part here, because that needs to match with the other. But you could afford to take a little bit off the maybe just move it over a tiny bit again. And just check that underneath. No, it won't fit. So I'm going to actually cheat now, and I'm going to make it a little bit shorter when I cut it out. So I'm going to lose about 1/2 inch off the end of it, which is absolutely fine because it's only the facing on the inside, so that won't matter. So I'll go ahead and pin that on and cut that out, and you do the same, and I'll come back and see you later.